This computer. What is up, guys? Back with another video. Today I'm joined by a good friend of mine and business partner. He's been in the game for a while. It's Isaiah
Yes.
LeBron.
Hello,
I
hello.
talk about a lot of things to do with client acquisition, offer creation.
Yep.
Metrics is a big one. I wanted to dive into metrics specifically, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
because so many people mess this up. So many people don't understand logging it accurately, giving metrics enough time to average out and making decisions according to that properly. And yeah, I just want to get your thoughts, like, because obviously that's a big part of what you do, right? Optimizing for the right stuff.
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting, something I was watching where no matter if you look at the whole system and you look at like the main metric of that system. So for example, in cold email, it'd be ABR, so appointment booking rate.
Mhm.
Let's say that's 5%, but you have an open rate of 20%, which from a cold email perspective is absolutely terrible. Like
Right.
deliverability, that's all off the charts.
Yeah, of course.
But metrics aren't linear. So if you wanted to increase that open rate and you started fucking around with the subject line, other stuff like that, maybe yeah, the subject line is a good example. It's not necessarily going to increase that appointment booking rate up from 5%. So it's good to keep that in check. What are your thoughts on that? Because you probably understand it
Yeah.
better than I do, but that's what I was.
No, yeah, man. Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends what your Polaris star is, right?
Yeah,
What Polaris star means is sort of like the key metric of which you basically base your campaigns around. So if you say to yourself, hey, I won't accept anything less than 1.5% appointment booking rate, right? Um, but you're getting like a 20% open rates in theory, because this might be a new idea for you. In theory, if your open rates go from 20% to 80%, in theory, I think your ABR would actually go up
yeah,
because
yeah,
more people actually seeing your emails. And of course, it's already resonating. If you're getting a 5% ABR, it's pretty damn good.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's where sort of you feel comfortable at in terms of ABR. Like if it's in that scenario, if my open rates were 20%, which as you mentioned, which is shit, obviously it's shit. But many people in the industry, it's crazy, actually have open rates like that and they're okay with that, which is a totally different topic.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and so like I wouldn't change anything to that system because if our Polaris star is 1.5%, but our ABR is at 5% with the current campaign, I'm literally gonna sit on my hands and I'm gonna let the system play out because I don't care if the other metrics are shit, if the PR is shit, if the open rate is shit, as long as the ABR is in KPI, I'm not going to change anything because you don't change what's broken. And as you mentioned, the most important thing to a cold email campaign is not open rates, PRRs, it's
Mm.
actually ABR and cash collected from the meetings booked. So
And like you
a lot of
said,
people just need to understand that, man.
yeah, yeah, 100%, without a doubt. And like you said something really interesting there. Like, although metrics aren't linear, like you said, if you did have an open rate of 20% and an appointment booking rate of 1.5%, and you did what you could to increase that open rate, yeah, absolutely, you probably would get a higher appointment booking rate because there is definitely some correlation there. Because obviously, the more people that see it, the more people are going to book a call if you've already got
Yeah.
a sufficient appointment booking rate. But how much easier would it be with, let's say, you're sending 200 emails per day? It's
Mm-hmm.
all automated through like instant email, Shake, Lemlist, whatever, to just simply double that system to send 400
Yeah.
instead of doing what you can to fuck around, risk messing it all up just to get that appointment booking rate up to like maybe 2% if you're lucky. Like it's so much easier to double the
Yeah.
volume than it is to double the results of the copy. Like I
Yeah,
can't
for
emphasize
sure.
that enough.
Yeah, I think I think everybody who runs a cold email campaign, they try to eke efficiency out of it. And I totally understand, you want everything to be a well-oiled machine, but
Yeah.
we always need to find, I I guess in this scenario, the least path of resistance would be just to up the volume. But it would make sense, right? Usually, I would say 90% of the time, choosing the path of least resistance is not the way to go. But in a particular situation like this, just doubling the volume, I mean, you'll have a better time because all you have to do is just press a couple buttons and you'll get more meetings, right? So like the notion of just eking efficiency, out of a cold email campaign, you do it to a certain point until your ABR is in KPI. And then when it's in KPI, it's done, right? Sit on your hands and keep that campaign rolling. Because actually I was watching a video about this, about, the people that we listen to.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned something about, what was it? I think it was something about research, actually putting in the work up front, because once you understand the client's pain point, or your ideal client's pain points, things of that nature, writing the copy is much more easier and things like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, I can't remember exactly what he mentioned about what we were
Mhm.
just speaking about. It's going to come up in my mind in a little bit, but just the importance of just forefront research and not messing with the system. Oh yeah, here it is. The goal of a marketer is, simply put, is to find one winning campaign and to run with it. That's it. That's the first principles of being a marketer.
Yeah.
That's literally it. So once we find that winning campaign in all facets, whether it be paid ads, cold
Mhm.
emails, LinkedIn messages, once we find that winning campaign, our job is basically finished. We just manage it, right? So I think people need to
There's
understand that being a marketer is not this crazy thing, but it's
so
fairly
many,
simple to do.
there's so many stuff I wanted to jump in on there.
Yeah,
Literally, the main thing is like, so obviously you establish what the KPIs are for yourself. Like you go
correct.
out and do the research. Like, what is an acceptable appointment booking rate? You probably want to ask people that are doing a similar thing, that are getting good results. They can
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
what's achievable. Because obviously, if you just Google like what's an acceptable appointment booking rate on Google for cold
No,
emails,
yeah,
it's gonna tell you like 0.1%.
yeah,
But I mean, if you know what
listen.
you're doing, you're gonna 10x that easily. But no, the main thing that I wanted to talk about was, that I wanted to say when you were speaking, was it takes, like you spoke about pain avoidance, and the path of least resistance is what people want to do, but it actually takes a lot of a lot of self-control to just not fuck with the campaign that's already working and let it run out. And obviously you're consistently wanting to test new stuff. So what you can
Yeah.
do in that point is, instead of messing around with what's working in that campaign, and it's going to churn out results, it's churning out appointments, you can just duplicate that campaign, edit one facet of that campaign, whether that's the subject line, whether that's part of the copy, whether that's the thumbnail, it can literally be anything.
Yeah.
And almost, it's like a petri dish, right? So you're like duplicating the campaign, and then you're editing one aspect of it, and then
Yeah.
what's actually going to make it work, because that's another huge thing. People will change multiple different parts of a campaign that they know what works, and then they can't actually diagnose what specific thing helped it if it increased, or what specific thing hindered it
Mm,
to decrease. So it's
yeah.
like winning campaign, branch out from there, three different campaigns with each something else different, find the winning one from there, another branch, and you just keep iterating.
Yeah. Always be testing, man. Always be testing. It's sort of like, I have it written on my wall right here, ceteris paribus. I know you
I don't actually know what
asked
that
me
means.
yeah. So well, you asked me a couple of days ago, like, what is ceteris paribus? And basically it's Latin for iterating one key variable at a time. And that's literally what you just explained. And that's how I do our tests and our clients' tests, with a few exceptions here and there. So it's basically like the notion of ceteris paribus is change one key variable in the campaign until KPIs are met. So, for example, for our cold email campaigns, we're running this Loom strategy.
Yeah,
First KPI that I look at is Loom view rate, right? So I'm optimizing everything until Loom view rate is in KPI. Once Loom view rate is in KPI, I'm changing one thing to get, I'm changing one variable to get my positive reply rate in KPI. Now, once that is in KPI, I just move down to the next thing, right? But I'm not changing the entire different copy, because you don't know you can't attribute anything if you're changing so many variables at once, right? So
yeah,
for example, if you're not seeing successful open rates, if you're not seeing at least a 70 or at least a 60% open rate, then you have to optimize your subject line until you have a decent open rate, right? And don't change anything else in the body copy. Why would you? Nobody's seeing your emails, right? So it's a very, it's a very clear example of ceteris paribus. Only iterate one variable at a time, one key variable at a time. Then
Mm.
once you're in KPI, move down to the other important things in the entire system.
Yeah, because it is literally a system. It's like
Yeah, literally.
there's like the macro system of acquiring clients, and then each aspect of the journey that the customer takes. So they open the email, they read the email, they respond to the email, they may book a call, they that you have the sharp sequence, they get on the call, you pitch them, you close. It's like
Yeah,
a whole different array of so many different elements to that system.
yeah,
And people look at like the copy in
yeah.
isolation and like, oh, that's what makes the difference. But no, there's a whole array of different things.
Now
And
imagine changing that entire system. You just explained. You got the sales system, outbound system, the scripts within that, like the pre-call flows. Imagine changing so many variables. You have no idea what's going to work, right? So I think, yeah, just the importance of ceteris paribus, man. It's completely changed how I think about whenever I start a cold email campaign or just any campaign in general. Um, so yeah, man, it's very, very important.
yeah, I wanted to speak about how people neglect the importance of your presence outside of the outreach message and who it's actually from.
Yeah,
Because like there's kind of a notion that like I've seen, and they people don't really say this directly, but it's kind of assumed like, oh, it's just your offer. It's everything about your offer. Is your offer, your offer, your offer. No, it's who is saying it.
mm,
Like
mm,
it,
yeah,
it definitely has a loads and loads of weight to it. If you get a cold email from Charlie Morgan, or you get a cold email from someone you've never heard of before, like who are you gonna
yeah.
treat with more respect in terms of
Yeah,
what they're
exactly.
saying? So it's like make sure you have that presence there. Make sure you can be found on Google. You've got an
Yep.
optimized LinkedIn profile because people are going to check it out. You've got an optimized website.
Yeah,
Your
people
website's up and
will
down.
check it out, and people will call other people. Like if you have clients and
Yeah,
they're they're on your like LinkedIn profile or they're on your YouTube, they will call those people. So that's something to consider as well. And everybody's talking about offer, everybody's
yeah,
talking about scripts, sales systems, but nobody's talking about sales assets. Nobody's talking about what's outside of outbound. Um, because with AI coming in, automating every single thing, my prediction is while everybody's going to run to AI, personalization and having an actual personal brand will be more important than ever. Because nowadays you can't even distinct whether a person is artificial intelligence or whether they're a real human being, right? So if you
yeah.
can just convey yourself out of your outreach, I mean, you're gonna have a more merrier time. I mean, I can see it with us right now. With the YouTube channel still growing and the presence that is circumventing what we're doing in terms of outbound reaching out to new clients. I mean, it's quite literally night and day, um, because it's with the videos that we're doing, it's like mini VSLs every single time, right? And once you sort of apply that framework to other personal branding sites and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to have this huge spider web of just content and persuading that potential client to sign up with you. And why should they trust you, right? Because again, you can have the most banging offer, literally the most banging offer, pay on results, pay on performance, money back guarantee, even give you money back. But if they think, hey, that's too good to be true, and they search you up and you're nowhere to be found, doesn't matter how concise that offer is or how persuasive that offer is, they're not going to give you the time of day.
Mm.
So just
And
yeah,
what you said about offer there is important. And I think a lot of people, I remember Jacob Levine was saying this. It was like marketing is simply to capture the attention.
yeah,
And then once you have their attention, from that, you obviously want to diagnose whether you can help them and then establish whether it's a good fit. If you have a service that you genuinely know can change their life, that you're getting good results for all of your clients, there's no problem in using some over extravagant language to get them on the call to register interest
yeah,
because that's simply all it is. you're just trying to get that initial interest. You're trying to, that's all marketing is getting attention. Like people
Yeah.
have been using crazy claims, crazy different strategies just to register the attention since marketing has been around. So it's
Yeah.
like this is literally, and like I see a lot of people, I think Joe Milnes was saying this, are like people ask him like he has his offer in his Twitter bio or something like that, or he has an
Yeah.
offer in VSL, and people say to him, how do your prospective clients uh like how do they believe that you're going to deliver this in a certain time? But the thing is they don't, because it's simply just there to capture the attention, to just register
Mm.
interest from the prospects.
Yeah.
And once they're in the sales funnel, you can explain what you truly do. Like I'm not saying you lie, I'm just saying it's
Mm.
it like the basis of an offer is just to generate attention.
Right.
It's like a
Right. Right.
marketing message
Yeah.
and then an offer, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because we were having this conversation a long time ago of marketing messages because I was having some trouble with the cold email campaigns that they weren't really performing.
Yeah.
And I started to ask myself like, why are these not performing? And then I remember when we had this conversation about marketing messages, um, and I didn't understand the difference. And this is not too long ago, so I'm still learning as well.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the difference between a marketing message and I would say the offer. You know, I mean, the offer is in the marketing message, but in terms of, I guess, in terms of the service you actually deliver and the marketing message, I thought those two were synonymous, and they kind of are. But in terms
Mm.
of grabbing attention and actually, getting that prospect to actually book a call with you, the marketing message, has to, I wouldn't say lie, I would say just bend the truth to an extent. The reason why is because I mean, you and I both know cold email is competitive, LinkedIn's competitive. I mean, every single channel is competitive, and
Yeah.
I'd rather full transparency. I know our service can change a business owner's life. I know. So if I have to bend the truth just a little bit, not lie, to get them on the call to potentially change their life, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
you
that's just I think it's just the the cutthroat aspect of marketing. But
and you said
um,
that is competitive. Absolutely. And I think another problem with like offers people have is like always thinking there needs to be some sort of pay on results basis or like some guarantee or like refund or something like that. Because I was definitely guilty of that in the past. And then obviously to stand out from that competition, what you can do, which pretty much no one is doing, is just doing the boring stuff, doing the market research. Like when was the last time you reviewed all of your discovery calls and truly listened to what your prospects were saying?
yeah,
Because they literally, when you have a discovery call, like anyone who's watching this that takes them will know that prospects will just speak for ages just about problems they're currently struggling with, what they've tried in the
yeah,
past. Like they're giving you real time market feedback of what they're struggling with. When was the last time you really internalized that, understood your market, used that, applied that to your offer, applied that to your cold email campaigns, your outreach campaigns, and even just like something that no one, like I literally, I don't think I've had one person talk about this. It was like looking at your most frequent cold email responses and like maybe responding to them and truly trying to understand what they're saying, because that's market
mm,
feedback. Like people saying no and giving reasons why they're not looking for this sort of solution at the moment. Like they probably all have something in common that they're struggling with. So yeah, doing the boring stuff, doing the market research, truly understanding their pain points is a lot easier with AI, but obviously nothing gives real-time feedback like actually speaking to the prospect. So like if someone wanted to get started, and because obviously like if you're an established agency owner, you've been in the game for a while, you already know a lot about your ideal client, what they struggle with.
right.
How could they accelerate that and like start learning more, start doing more market research and understanding their prospects better with the tech that we have today? What would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a really great question. I think you can always I tend to believe you can always go deeper than what you already know because the market
Yeah,
is always changing week to
yeah,
week. That people, this applies to all target markets, all niches. Every single week, people are changing their biases, their truths, their beliefs because of the repeated stimulus that they may have gotten hit with, like certain cold email campaigns or stuff like they've seen this, tons and tons of times, again and again and again, that you constantly have to keep doing research. I truly do believe that. Because as I mentioned, literally every single market is always changing, within good reason.
Mm.
And yeah, the importance of doing the front load work, and we were just speaking about this, the importance of doing the upfront work in terms of actually doing market research, the qualitative and the quantitative data, very, very important. Right, because when I used to work with market research companies, do like
Yeah.
lead gen for them,
Yeah.
they would explain to me like their services and sort of offer, and I didn't truly internalize like, why do people need this, right? And this was a couple well, quite a few months ago. Like I didn't realize like, why do companies need market research, right? I just kept asking myself that, and then it didn't really click until we started to do this new thing,
Yeah.
that, oh my gosh, everybody needs market research 24/7. They always need that data, because you don't want to make decisions, even stuff like this. You don't want to make decisions off emotion. Like, oh yeah, I think my ICP thinks like this. Well, you could be wrong,
Yeah.
because you're probably holding that notion from like 2 years ago. The market has changed a lot since then, right? So just always keeping your finger on the pulse in terms of internalizing what your prospects are actually saying on those sales calls, and how to take that in as real-time feedback, and then iterate your market messaging or offer accordingly.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but yeah, man.
it's literally like the person that you're selling, that you're spending all of your time like trying to work out what they want.
Yeah,
Why would you not go to great lengths to try and understand them, to figure out what makes them
yeah.
actually buy your product?
And as you mentioned, with the new, like, oh my gosh, man, the technology that we have nowadays is insane for market research. I mean, you can literally go into ChatGPT Plus, write
Mhm.
out a banging,
It's great. It's great that you said, wait, to interrupt you, it's great that you
yeah, go
said
ahead.
GPT-4, because I'm pretty sure the free version is only updated to 2021 or something
Right,
like that.
yeah. Yeah,
So
September,
yeah,
I think
and it's real
2021.
time in GPT-4. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's literally technology that we have, especially when doing market research, is insane. You can get hours and hours and hours. Guys, market research companies, when they do qualitative and quantitative like research, it takes days. Like it could take a week to do that, right? And you could do a week's worth of research in sub like 4 to 5 hours, if that. Technically, you can do it like within 5 minutes, because you can type in the prompt, and it can give you that qualitative and quantitative data, and then couple that with actual live market feedback, sales calls, people giving you direct response, on your sales letters or YouTube videos. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, we have like there should be no reason you're not doing research every single week, and always keeping your pulse on that, because that's the Pareto principle. That's the 80%. Or no, that's the 20%, and the 80% is the results that come from that research, right? So, applying that, man, is I feel like is what is going to take us to 100K a month in like less than a year, um,
Mhm.
because the market research is so key.
And when you
Um,
understand it so well, you can like everything sounds kind of corny, but it's true. Like every like piece of copy that you do, every post you do, every YouTube
mm,
video you make, it's all like internalized through you, and you can almost speak from their perspective. You know exactly what they want. You know exactly the type of terminology to use. And like an active exercise that anyone can use if anyone just wants to try this, just even speak to a few people, is just find the phone numbers of a few people in your niche, just ring them up, be completely honest with them and say, hey, I've got this solution which I genuinely think can help industry. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Because I'm really trying to gauge exactly what your industry would want from a service like this. I just want to know kind of what you're struggling with, what your goals are, what your fears are, frustrations are, and they can.
yeah,
And most of the time, they'll say yes. You're only asking for like 5 minutes, a few minutes of their time, if you don't even want to mention you're a business owner, you could say I'm a college student doing this
Yeah.
sort of thing. There's endless
Yeah.
ways. Like it's genuinely never been easier to communicate with people. And what I wanted to speak about as well was like the shiny object syndrome of like WhatsApp outreach, Instagram outreach, Facebook outreach, email. What
Mm,
should I pick? Like there's so many different things going on, but I've always believed that it's really important, especially when you're starting out, and even when you're an established agency owner, to focus on one client acquisition method and get really good at that. And then if it makes sense, apply it in other areas. But generally, I know we're both fans of simplicity, so just finding something that works,
yeah.
and then because like you may think it's not going to take up too much time, adding WhatsApp in there, adding LinkedIn, but it's just like the mental strain. You have to constantly think about
Yeah.
the responses there. You have to always have the tabs open. So like how do you think, I guess like what do you think the importance of having like one specific channel is in isolation? Just like focusing on it.
Man, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try to keep it concise. I could literally talk about all like this all day, about this all day. But the importance is I mean so important. The reason why is because as you mentioned, we can only get so much things done in a single day. And when you look at all these different outreach systems, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, SMS, email, cold calling,
Yeah.
what is the main point of doing these methods is to book meetings. Okay. So what do all these systems have in common? To book meetings,
Yeah.
right? If we can book, so like if I give you a proposition, Max, would you rather book 100 meetings with cold email or 100 meetings between cold calling, cold email, LinkedIn,
Cold
Instagram?
email
Like,
every day.
yeah,
I'd
I'm
rather
pretty sure
book
you picked the former.
I'd rather book 3 meetings with just cold email than like 10 with like SMS, WhatsApp, voicemail
Yeah,
drops, Telegram,
no.
Discord, like
Yeah, no,
everything.
literally. That makes things so much easier. And
So much easier.
yeah, and when we're talking to these agency owners who are established, it comes to my surprise that they're not even focusing on one channel. They're just focusing on referrals, right? Which is which is literally not. It's a channel, of course it is, but obviously you can't scale referrals unless you have like a referral network. But that's beside the point. Um,
That's what it is. Usually
yeah, it's
referrals,
just
networking.
yeah, exactly. And you always want to keep things lean. I mean, when I got into this marketing agency space a couple of years ago, um, from the mentors that taught me, they always stressed one product, one service, one niche, one communication channel, one outreach channel. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna let that go because it has worked for us, it has worked for clients. And obviously we've seen people that are peers of us that they literally have one channel and they're killing it with that channel, and that's it. Right. So guys, if you have the option between doing 10 different outreach channels or one, just do one. Make your
And
life
it's so
easier.
much more like because when you add a different channel, it's like an entirely different set of systems as well. And it's not
Entirely.
like you can just replicate what you're doing on that channel on a different channel. Yeah, like yeah, that
Yeah,
could work, but like even the type of people on a different channel, like they could like have completely different characteristics because there's a different type of person that is active on that channel sometimes. So
exactly.
it's like the macro system and all the different individual parts are different on a different channel. And like
Yeah.
it's so much more added complexity. So like people, no one's saying this either. No one's saying just because it's not what people want to hear. They want to hear like the brand new like 10 minutes a day SMS outreach,
Yeah.
5 appointments.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because it's the underpinning mindset of the stimulus seeker.
Yeah,
And I know we've learned this in Charlie's teachings, which I subscribe to.
yeah,
Um, we always 98% of the market is always chasing the next big thing, the stimulus. And guys, if you don't know what the stimulus is just the mode of thing that you're doing. So the stimulus would be your copy, SMS outreach, cold email campaigns, like things like that. um but they never go back to the fundamentals, and the
and
fundamentals
you only have to
is the
look.
underpinning of marketing, right? So like if
Yeah,
you get the fundamentals right, the stimulus will come. Because if I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here, but
yeah,
you can create, it's
like,
kind of like a well. Once you sort of understand the fundamentals, that's when the water starts, coming out of the well in mass, because you know how to create these things from scratch rather than finding the next big thing.
I mean, it's all over the place as well. There's like people just trying to find like the next piece of copy and be good for the next like few days rather than actually understanding the fundamentals and teaching themselves what truly works. Like you only have to look as so far as Facebook to see someone's like, oh, I'm booking like 5 appointments per day with cold email. Everyone's like, what's the script? What are you using? What exact subject line are you
Yeah,
using? What
yeah,
minute did you send every email at? Like, but
yeah.
then there's that one person that's like, what's like what I don't like, do you know what I mean?
What? Yeah.
That's the in-depth
What was
question
the
of like,
thinking behind
yeah,
creating that
what was the
copy?
thinking
That's the
behind
questions you should be
creating the
asking.
campaign?
Yeah,
What
that's
is
the
your
questions you
approach
should
to
be
cold email
asking.
campaigns? What's your paradigm towards it?
Exactly.
And yeah, and it's just everywhere, and like you can understand why it is because like pain avoidance, everything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the people that truly
Well, yeah, I mean,
understand how it
it is pain
works.
avoidance because if you're going all in one channel and you're not seeing the channel work, like of course you're gonna like, oh, like I should just do outreach on other channels. But guys, that's the catch. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. You might not crack outbound the first time with cold email, LinkedIn, SMS, right? But if you keep chipping away at that one single thing, that one outreach strategy, you're going to crack it. Of course, if you tend to it the right way, if you track the metrics properly, if you keep testing, right? If you keep reiterating, you have to stay on top of these things. But that's just my paradigm around that. You just want to be lean as literally lean as possible. And that's what we're doing at the moment. And that's what we preach our clients to do. And that's what we preach you to do, is to stay lean as possible. So if you are established marketing agency and you've sort of been relying on these sorts of referrals in the background for years and years and years, and you're trying to figure out, okay, which outreach or what outbound systems or modalities should we go with first? Well, that's the question I would ask, right? Okay, we should do cold email. All right, let's stick to this for 6 months. If we don't see results for 6 months, all right, we'll maybe change. But we first have to look at the data for 6 months. Did we even do this correctly, right? So, man,
And I
very
mean, it's
important.
like everything comes from understanding your prospect. Because
Yeah,
like how would you know cold email would be the best place to reach out to your prospect if you didn't truly understand where they spend most of their time, like what they do?
yeah,
For example, like how often they're like if you didn't truly understand, like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna pick, I don't know, plumbers as a niche. Let me just I don't know, I'll cold email them. They're not sitting behind a laptop 12 hours a day, like they're
yeah,
out in the
yeah,
field working. So everything comes from understanding your prospect because you can build every element to that system tailored to the needs of your market.
right.
So you mentioned sales assets, like
Yeah,
because I feel like that's another kind of like it's definitely came into my mind in the last like 6 months to a year sort of period.
right.
I've known what they were, but I've got a further understanding of them now. But I feel like it's another one of those sort of shiny things now that people don't
Mm,
truly understand. What would you define as a sales asset, and what would you say, and how would you like emphasize the importance of them and what they can
yeah,
actually do? Because like
yeah.
for
I would
me,
define
yeah,
it
go
as,
ahead.
yeah. No, so I was just going to mention, I would define a sales asset as something that's complementary to your entire acquisition process. Maybe even a step further than complementary. I believe it might actually
Gives
be
value.
like you have to do. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, I
just
think
a
it's just
block of value supplementing what you're already doing.
I think it's just value. It's literally just anything that can give
Yeah,
your prospect value and an inclination of how your service works. Obviously, without going into too much detail,
exactly.
but leading with as much value as you can. And essentially, it has two purposes. I feel like one is to build as much trust as possible. Obviously, to nurture them into the sales process to make sure that they know you more, because we know how long on average it takes someone in terms of engagement to have with you before they make a decision. So building trust
Yeah,
and adding value to them. So
yeah. And
those two
and
things
and and with
synonymous.
that, yeah, with the adding value bit, I know a lot of people throw around, hey,
Yeah,
just add value. But like, what does
yeah,
that mean? Like, what does that mean?
yeah,
Like, tell me what that means.
yeah,
And I'm gonna tell you
yeah,
what it means.
yeah.
Add value is basically, guys, there's something that you don't want to give out for free because you know that like this is like free game. That's the thing. That's the value. You need to put that out, right? If it kind of feels forbidden
Mm.
to make that case study or make that sales letter with that kind of information in it, right? Because you hold it so close to your heart because it's very valuable. That's value, guys. That's value. Don't be afraid to give out your secrets, is basically what I'm trying to say. Because this is exactly what Hormozy has been doing for X amount of years. He's literally he's fine with giving out the secrets people have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for because he knows later down the line on the back end he's going to have immense ROI, right? So just the importance of knowing that and applying that, I think is very, very important. And every time you want to add value, just think about what do I don't want to put out in terms of secrets or information that'll help my prospect, right? So yeah, because I remember with like the cold email campaigns and the cold email systems, a lot of people were gatekeeping the actual like system itself on actually how to build the system, like in terms of how many domains do I need to get, what
Really?
software do I need to buy, right? A lot of people were
Bro,
gatekeeping that
yeah,
for quite
no,
a period of
100,
time, like
bro.
like you had to pay
Yeah,
people for this. You know
when
what I
I
mean?
first tried to set that up, man, I was on the computer for hours trying to work out how to log into the different domains, how to set it all up,
Yeah.
how to connect it to instantly. I was on the support to Zoho back in the day for eight. How do I connect
Yeah,
that? I literally had to ring them
literally.
up, how to like buy domains off GoDaddy and stuff like that. Bro, yeah, 100%. 100%. That's so true.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
like
insane.
the more you give value to people, they associate that value with you and they perceive you as valuable. So it's like you position yourself
Mm,
in
that's a
in a
nugget.
strong position. So
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, don't gatekeep anything. If you have secrets that your
right.
industry can benefit from, give them as much as possible because you're gonna see the rewards in the long term.
Yeah, exactly that, man.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And it's like, I don't know, it's definitely just some core principles of acquisition that should always be followed. And that if you just, I
Yeah.
truly believe if you just do the basics, like everything in this game, everything in terms of acquisition, getting clients, I truly believe it is so simple, but it's just not easy.
Mm,
Like it's like it genuinely can be boiled down to like a very like I'd say the fundamentals are truly understanding your prospect, truly understanding your prospect, having a means of connecting with of generating those leads of your prospect and reaching out to them at scale, having the value the assets in place around marketing, so optimize social profiles, consistent content going out,
yeah.
funnels, nurturing, prospects being aware of who you are, case
Yeah.
studies, testimonials, and then a strong sales process. I truly believe
Yeah.
those are the four like core elements. Obviously, in between them, there's loads of different micro systems, but like just doing the basics correctly is something
Yeah.
that people overlook
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah. The fundamentals, man. It's it's so imperative that we just keep pounding that in people's heads because it all comes back to the fundamentals. And just to show you guys how evergreen the fundamentals are, especially in marketing, David Ogilvy, one of my favorites. Like I always study Ogilvy. Um, when he was writing newspaper ads for Rolls Royce, like he would be in the Rolls Royce, he would touch the Rolls Royce, he would drive the Rolls Royce, he would sleep with the Rolls Royce, he would be in the showrooms, like researching the Rolls Royce. Like he would know every single thing about it, and that's why that campaign was the greatest campaign to be ever written because he put in that market research, he put in the fundamentals, and that was years ago, like 1940s, 1950s. Um, I think it was around that time, but you get the point. That was ages ago, and that still applies to 2023 coming into 2024, which is insane.
It's
So
almost
that
like
should tell you how important the fundamentals are. So
it's almost like if you do
facts.
something that goes against the masses, you get completely different results. It's almost like it's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
Just in very honest head, it's like, okay, what is everybody doing at the moment? Oh, this? I'll just do the opposite. And usually that works. So that's literally it, guys. It's just about, I mean, and what I just mentioned there, that's underpinned by constant market research, right? So all of it is underpinned by doing the front load work, the boring work necessary, right? So all the little water droplets fall into the correct buckets. So yeah, man.
Mm, 100%. Yeah, and it's like you need to, like you said, the Rolls Royce analogy. You need to just be like that with your prospects. That's what you were saying. So
Yeah.
truly understand them, spend as much time with them as possible, and like obviously that's going to accelerate with the more outreach you do because you're gonna speak to them more often. Like I could recite so many different characteristics of marketing agency owners at seven figures in my head just from because I've conducted hundreds and hundreds of sales calls with them. Like I truly understand what they're thinking, what they want, what they know, what their problems are. So it's like over time you will develop this understanding, and like that's the thing. Like
Mm.
knowledge in outbound and knowledge how to operate systems takes time. Like it really does take time.
I mean, it takes years, man. I mean, I believe we're still in the learning phase. We just know how to apply with haste, right? I think it's going to take years to fully understand and encompass yourself in something like client acquisition because client acquisition is not a discipline within itself. It's a multitude of different disciplines,
Yeah.
right? And that's a whole different subject in terms of what are these disciplines: psychology, game theory, statistics, economics. Like these are some heavy hitting stuff. And once you understand these basic principles that underpin client acquisition, because like you can't study client acquisition. I mean, there's no book about client acquisition unless yours truly make one. But yeah, man, you have to understand these fundamentals, and you have to understand those four components of client acquisition to really get ahead of the game.
One more thing, probably the last thing I want to talk to you about was outreach lag, because I know it's a big one that a lot of people don't understand as well.
Yeah, I should get that tattooed on me, man. Latency, like that's the number
Yeah.
one thing. Remember, our campaigns weren't hitting for like the first month to 2 months. You're like, man, I think we should just shut down the email campaigns. I think we should shut down the email campaigns. Like, no, man, we have to let it, just let it play out. And literally that day, we started booking appointments, right? Because we just sat on our hands and let the system play out. Um, and man, outreach lag is a real thing. It's a real thing. And people, and that's why the majority of people, they quit after a month. Guys, you're especially with cold email, especially, but in terms of just outbound in general, more than not, or the majority of the time, you're not going to see crazy results in the first 30 to 40 days. Like I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It comes after, that initial period of latency, um, which that's just how the
And it
system is.
and it ties into metrics as well because
Yeah.
like the more volume you have in your metrics, the more validity those numbers hold.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like you need to give it time anyway to get enough data to make an accurate decision because you can't really see like an aggregate decision, an aggregate response from the market if you've only sent 100 emails. So you need to give it time to send enough volume with your system anyway to make decisions. So like that
Yeah.
should be enough of an incentive to make outreach lag and to actually like understand it and give it enough time and understand it.
You literally give it enough time. That's literally all it is. And what is data? What is metrics? Is statistics, right? So it all comes down to fundamentals. I mean, I bet you if you watch the whole video, everything that we have spoken about is all underpinned by fundamentals. That's literally how it is. So yeah, man, guys, give your outreach enough time to play out. If you don't, then you'll quit within a month because it takes time to have bigger campaigns, right? Jacob Levine spoke about this. He he failed with a certain type of campaign. I think it was in the education sector. He failed 4 straight months. 4 straight months, literally zero result in his cold email campaign. But on that fourth month, after 30 plus different campaigns being tested, he finally cracked it. and now he could just sit on his hands and let that campaign, just marinate, right? So, would you rather quit after a month or wait 4 to 5 months and have one campaign be so banger, you let it go for like the next couple of years, and you basically have a system always bring you new business. So I would have the latter.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, like you said, everything is underpinned by it. And it's just like the question of, are you actually gonna go ahead and take the actions to do the boring stuff to truly understand your customer?
Yep.
Because like it's complicated. There's a lot of different things you have to set up. Like it's simple, but with every different individual system, like there's different nuances. You have to learn something new. Like to
Yep.
operate a business, to be an agency owner, you have to know so many different things. Like there's so many different moving parts that you have to be good at. You obviously have to know the service you're providing inside and out. You have to have a good service delivery. You're a marketer, you're a copywriter, you post content, you're a salesman, bro. There's literally like 100 different crafts built into one.
Yeah, bro.
Like this stuff is hard. We
Yeah.
understand you don't have time. We understand there's 100 different other stuff you could be doing. That's why what we've tried to do in our service is remove the time and effort element, the effort and sacrifice element down to zero, as close to zero as we
Mhm.
can, because we understand there's 100 different other things you should be doing as a founder, as a CEO. And we want to be responsible for taking care of as much of the acquisition process as physically possible. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty sure that's everything we've got to talk about. If you are
Awesome,
an
man.
agency owner above 50K a month, you have a focus on scaling in the next few months, you have existing case studies, have existing clients, you have a great service, you can book a call down in the description with me where I'll just simply go over exactly what we do. I'll ask you any questions. I'll explain how it works. Don't worry, there's no pictures on the first call or anything like that. Simply just to get to know each other, and I'll explain how it works. If you're an agency earning below 50K a month, feel free to book in a time with me where you can ask myself anything to do with acquisition. I'll do my best to answer it. And yeah, that's everything. Subscribe, like, and yeah, appreciate it. Bye.